Lately, there is something that is bothering me because I'm trying so hard to make a certain lives to be like it needs to have some weight on it, but I'm just telling what is happening for the day. And sometimes it's a little stuff, it's like an everyday life, and you just hear me talking like I'm doing a vlog, a video log, and then I'm like, it doesn't like really hold something important to tell. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like we have pressure ourselves to be so like there is like it's in it it needs to be something important to tell, or it doesn't hold any value or whatsoever. And I'm like, that's it's not true. Sometimes people have it hard and they want to hear something soft, and that's why you would tell the story on whatever it is that you have. Or maybe like sometimes people someone has something going on and they can't really describe what they have, and then they hear you say it the way you say it, and then to it helps them to essentially narrate whatever they are experiencing. It has some weight in a different manner. And I noticed myself like before, every single time, like lately, I'm like, what is happening today? Like, what is really important to tell? Like, that's importantness is what's keeping me to like start the life, because I'm like, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. And then today, something has actually been going on for the last couple of days, because I'm writing my life story, which is for the entrance for people who actually just come into my world. And I'm like, I want to tell the story as it is. But if I tell the story as it is really long, because the process is not just I have this going on, this one problem, and then this, and then the next thing happening, and everything is happily ever after, and all this stuff. The transformation story. And I'm like, that actually not my story. My story is a lot more twisted and, dare I say, interesting, because I never heard anyone have the story I the way my story evolve itself, unravel itself. Because my story is like this. I triggered my life mission when I was 8, because my life has been so hectic with this shadow, with this sensitivity that I felt throughout the years. And I'm essentially just like, I don't want to feel this. So I'm like, okay, let's make it our mission. And I made it into a mission, and I go for the darkness, because I don't understand that part. If I want to help the humanity in some way, in some form, I need to eventually influence, impact, know how to deal with human, which is the core problem of the situation. And I'm like, okay, we don't know how we can help these people, so we just dive into something, into the darkness itself. And I call all the case of trauma, all the case of everything that I can get into, because I want to get the feeling, the first-hand experience of how a person actually resolve their issues, resolve whatever problem they have. And I go into such a length that it took me 14 years to eventually figure it out, why people have it hard, why people have it difficult. And I'm like, oh, this is why. Then I go another 2 years to actually resolve all of that pain. That eventually it doesn't resolve everything, but most of the things that I experienced at the time were lifted, because I intentionally made a decision to heal myself. And that happened in that 2 years. And there are some of the leftover issues, which is my parents for case for one of them, and then my financial issues was one of them. and then my love life is one of them, and then uh, how I share it is also one of them that is still unresolved, because it has some things that I feel if I resolve it now, there is a high chance that it will revert it back to how it was, because they don't understand it. They can't see it. So I need to be so independent in my own life to be able to come out in front of them like, okay, I don't want to wear any veil again. I don't want to live with you again. I don't understand why I need you to be still in my life. So I need to know why. And if you can help me find the why I still need to keep you in my life, I will be grateful. But if you don't want to actually help me with that, then I'm going to say goodbye. That's essentially it. And now that I'm working to say this story the way it's supposed to feel like for myself, so that others can see, okay, this is the narrate of how evolution of a human happened. And maybe like they, in the story itself, they pick up some frequency that is important for their own evolution. I love that to happen. And that's why like I share such a deep transformative experience in the first place. Like how the hectic shadow actually influenced me to trigger my life mission. I say that the way it happened in my head, in my moment, and all the experiences that I took in order to experience the shadow, because I sacrificed my body, my mentality, my feelings, my thinking, my relationship, and all that. I gave everything about me, and it didn't happen until 14 years gone by, and I'm like, why it's not happening yet? Am I missing something? And then I'm like, I synthesized everything, and then it happened right there and then. And it's a story that can be considered to be traumatic. So if you are the type of person who can't handle this kind of trauma, please don't read it, because this is such a heavy one, because there are certain part of the story that really cathartic. I think that's the word, because I'm like really bulking the anger, bulking the frustration itself. Like it becomes so huge that you cannot unsee it, and eventually some people have the contrast to be this huge for them to see, oh, it happened this way, because that is um the depth, the depth of their walls, meaning that they have that much of defense on to their soul to eventually break it open and just see, okay, this is actually what you need to learn, this is what you need to change, and all that stuff. And I'm one of those people, and I that's why I have it like freaking 20 years to eventually get here, because I am that person. I have such a high defense mechanism that just it never occurred to me that I can be in suffering mode, which I did. And it's not fun, but also like I know how to get out from it, because I'm like, okay, now that we are here, we want to heal it. And I healed it for 2 years, and I found all the keys for myself. And that's also one of the why I need to tell the story as it is, because I found it for myself. I uncover it for myself. I don't talk to anyone about it. I just like figure it out and believe to myself. Like I have such a big ego and independence, and to be strawberry moon effect, maybe you don't need to explain yourself, just be yourself. Yeah, that's one of the way. But for the most case, my story leading me into such a frequency that if you just read the story, you will figure it out how to do it yourself. Because the idea is that I'm playing in this spiritual reality, spiritual teaching that let people know you can heal, you can be free with this idea. And that's essentially my story. Is that 20 years gone by because I want to get that frequency, and eventually I get it. I will gladly listen if you want to talk about it. But the thing is that I have written the story, and now it's like 5,000 characters. It's like almost 1,000 words, I think, and over. I feel like I'm going to write more, and that's why like it's such a long story, because the phase itself is 20 years, and also like what happened in my own self. It's what I want to tell. So when it's done, I will tell you. I will share the link. But what I want to share today, it's not just that. I want to share something that is happening since 2020, because 2020 was the start of me sharing my work, which I'm just showing up, become visible to the people that I want to help, and eventually I look for channels to like, am I going to do it in here, in this platform, this platform, this platform? And I'm like, I don't understand. And eventually I just waste another 3 to 4 years around figuring out how to get this out, and I never did. But then in those 4 years, what really important for me was the story, because I want to get the story out, because that's like the first gateway for me. But then it also happened to be like the most fearful things to do, because I am telling my story, which is the most vulnerable part of me. There are parts of the story that I need to lie to actually get the frequency itself. So I need to not lie about how I got it. That eventually will be uncovered in one of the archive of how I get into a certain limitation. But in those stories, I want them to know that to get into this kind of complicated, complex idea of my world, my reality, I need to essentially do the horrible stuff. That is something that I have considered before. So when I was in middle school, like I was just entering middle school, seventh grade, my dream was actually become an author, because I love fictional story, because I know that I would be one of the characters. But releasing a book right now, it's not one of my dreams, because I know how not really difficult, but it just not in my list. I just want it to be like it is a short story that you can read it under half an hour. I hope it you can read it under half an hour, because it was so long. And I hope also like I write it under 10,000 characters, like around 1 to 2,000 words. Hopefully it done in that short fictional story type. But yeah, that's a good idea. But I I I don't know. I used to think that I don't have the capacity to express emotion, to actually become an author. That's why I put it off. But there's one project that I created between me and my closest friend at the time, and we built this story titled The Crypt Cactor. So it's essentially a fictional story, and we have different ideas of what scene would be included in the story itself. And I share one of my idea, which is like, it'd be nice if you can include when there's a lake and then it's rain, but instead of falling down like we have here gravity wise, it actually flying up. I don't know how it happened. I just picture it in my head, and I share it to her. And but I don't know why I think like I have such a short memory that eventually I don't remember to write the story. it just like fall off. I felt sorry for my friend because she was like so excited, and also like she get into a literature major, and I'm like, I'm the only one who get into psychology. And yeah, that's one of the story. And I just never get into that area. I never get in closer to that space anymore. But that's a good idea. Maybe later. I don't know. And what I what I struggle the most at the beginning of my visibility is that I want to tell the story so bad that that's all I can think of. I don't think about the marketing. I don't think about like getting the offer out. I'm just thinking like, how can I build the story to be so impactful that people will understand the first time they hear it, without me sounding like I am the expert, without me sounding like I have the best life, I am such an important person. I just want to share from the human perspective how a human evolution happened in the first place. And I was so fearful to share that because some of the story doesn't make sense. It's not common to hear someone out there like I uh, triggered my own pain. Like, when have you ever heard someone to like admit, I make this pain myself? I admit it. And I never heard that from anyone else. They always like put a blame on someone, like this person did it to me and this person did it to me. And I'm like, I did it to myself. I want it to happen to me. And this is also why I guess it's so hard for me to get out from my own sexual trauma, because I understand at the first glance, I want it to happen. So I am the sole responsible for this whole thing to happen in the first place. But then I realized it's not like that. It's not like I asked this person to eventually assault me in any way. It just happened, but I didn't do anything. I just let it happen. That's the case. But also at the time, because as you know, when an assault happened, I was sleeping and I'm just like, I don't know what happened. And I would just continue sleeping. But then eventually I realized something is happening. I don't know why. It feels off. But I'm not that person who is being assaulted and just like knock the other person off. That's my issue. And that's why I say to myself, I let it happen. Because at the time, I also understand that I want it to happen. That was instilled in my head since the day I triggered my mission, which is like when I was 8 years old. And it is my problem. So I cannot blame anyone for the things that I experienced, because I was so aware of it. I wanted to happen in the first place. So I took it on my own shoulder to heal whatever it is that is happening. That eventually never get to happen that way, because eventually I bursted it all out. And my family find out that I was assaulted by someone, and the relationship with my family become darker after that. I mean, they already have such a dark history to begin with, but then I added fire to the oil, and just like it burned all over again. And it gets deeper, and just that's why like I never get to fix the relationship with my family because of that, because I know that they cannot take it. And even when I tell them that story, they didn't take it very well. And I'm like, oh my god, what did I tell this? And then I blame myself again. I'm really great at taking responsibility to my own shoulder, but that's also the problem, is that I don't need to be so highly responsible. It's normal to freeze up in that situation. I don't know what you mean. Think there's app now where they print per order, don't need to have a big inventory. That's not the issue. The issue is not about the making of the book, the physical making of the book. It's about me getting into a blank page and seeing Okay, how do I start? Why do I write this and all that stuff? I used to struggle with that, but then I create content, I write more, and I found out like, oh, I actually have the ability to write such a story. That's what I'm doing with my story, with my story right now, writing it. It's normal to freeze up in that situation. If you can clarify that, I didn't remember I freeze up. I just, it's not freezing up. Oh, when it happened. Okay. I think like it when it happened, I didn't freeze. It's more like when you actually show up in the chat and then like chatting with me right now, the first and the second time I was freeze up. That's the freezing up. But the freezing up, it's not because like, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, this freezing up too, but it doesn't happen that way, to be exact. Huh. I wonder like if that's the thing, the right way to say it. Because there is so many layers to it that I can't say that I was freezing up. Hmm. I wonder like I can include myself in that category, but there are too many layers to say that I was freezing up. But it happened the way that when you show up and then I'm just like blank my head because I'm just like, oh. But I guess if you tell it like that, now you are synthesizing something in me. So another time about synthesizing, I was telling my friends about this story, and well, a different story about my family to my friends, to my closest friends in the middle school, and I'm like, and then she tell told me the truth. That was like, well, maybe you want this person to do this to you, and I was like, no, why did you say like that? And then everything just sinked in. I mean, like, and this is what happened right now. Like, do I actually want to say that it's actually freeze up, or do I want that do I still want to say it the way I say it? Because I don't think I was freezing up. Part of the case. So yeah. And like when I scared to tell the story of it, the whole story of my life, which is like really 20 years of it, is kind of lost the frequency right now. Let me get back to it. Okay. So I was scared to tell the whole story of this because not the sexual trauma, just like the holistic overview of the 20 years of my beginning to where I am now, is that themselves have they been through. I can see your fear of saying you're creating it. A lot of people would hate to admit it. Exactly. Right. Because oh, because it's such a long story that I would think of myself like, would people actually read this? Like, would people actually believe that this has happened to me? Because the story is so uncommon. Like, I initiated all the suffering to myself because eventually it was for this moment. Like, and I synthesized that thought when I'm like, start healing. And I'm like, why did I do all of this? Why? And I'm like, for the decision that I made back when I was 8 doesn't make sense. Like there also like a disbelief within myself about what people believe the story the way I with the way I share it because it is such an uncommon and I'm like and that idea of me being afraid of to tell my own story is actually like, so whose story are you going to tell if it's not yours? That also hit me because I'm like, I got nothing else. Like I live it. It's not like it's false. It truly happened the way I share it. So there is no need for me to be ashamed, to be fearful about it, to be like what I when I share about this scam, I'm not scamming people. This is literally what happened to me. So I don't need to be in the space of afraidness, of the fear, because it's the truth. And I'm not here to prove. I'm here to share the frequency of that synthesization, transformation, evolution, stage, phase, steps, that eventually people can see it for themselves. And that's like a bigger purpose of why I shared the story in the first place. So the fear then dissipates into more powerful energy. And eventually I'm like, that makes sense. But there was a time when I'm like, really, why would I want to do this? Why would I want to share this? It's such a weird story to begin with, but it happened. It happened to me. So I own it to a degree that, okay, let's just write it the way it is, no matter how long the pages will be, because I have rewrite this life story of mine so many times. So like maybe like 10 revision, 10 alteration, not alteration, 10 trials of writing the story. And now it's like, I hope this will be the last one I am writing the story itself, because to coming back to the time when it is not good. I mean, like the time when I was my past is not a great place to be, because there is so much shadow, so much unresolved idea that is thrown at me, that I just don't know what to do. And being in that space to actually writing it again is actually painful, as equal as experiencing in the first place. And I have this idea, agree 100%, hope and can see how it may help others. So let you work it out and are in the now. Exactly. I'm glad it happened now too, because there also a time in the story when I'm like, I can't do it now. Like after 2020, like I tried a couple of years and then I'm like, I burn out because I don't know what I'm doing. That essentially I need to put this off. I just want to rest. I want to be in peace with my present and just like be like afloat in my now. Like I don't want to go higher. I don't want to go lower. I just want to be in here, in the middle line. And I'm staying there. I don't know how long I will stay there. I would stay there, but then I eventually built the momentum to be like, I am ready. I am ready. I'm finally ready. I'm finally ready. And there was some post that I made with that idea that I am ready, that eventually I'm not ready yet. And the idea have started since 2024. To be exact, was February 25th, 2024. And the great thing about that year is that it's a dragon year, and it's aligned with mine sign, which is I'm a rat and a dragon, and monkey and ox is actually a really good circle of friends. And I'm starting my business in that year, which is great. And I took the chance to rest for so long. I didn't even know when I'm going to get back on this. But then like, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. And then eventually everything start to resolve itself without me trying to be anything else. I'm just like feeling my frequency and I'm here. Ta-da! And that's like the the how I'm actually figure it out how to be in a positive flow when I'm doing this thing. A lot of people stay stuck in the traumatic. Exactly. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And also, like, I still don't know how I'm going to accept, still be okay with the perpetrator itself, because that person is going to be here for forevermore. I was once thought for me to end my life because of like, I don't want to be in this space the same as this person because it was so close and I don't know how to like help myself in that time, which is like 2018. But eventually I didn't end my life because of that person. I understand the idea of not being in the same space, but also like if I'm given into the idea of ending my life, then I'm just like I lose because I can't win the pain. And that's why like I try to win over the thing. It's not a great story to be honest. Like it's such a traumatic, so many traumatic things that I feel like I hope this is helping people. I hope like this is making someone out there feel something that eventually make them move. Yeah. I was telling something, right? So that's the thing that I want to share is that if you, so this is something that I didn't do last live stream, is that I didn't give it back to you to have your own prompt, which is like, oh, let me get back to you. How is your life story? Is there some part of the story that you feel like I rather die than tell my story the way it happened? Because I can't believe I live it. I can't believe like I have this moment. Just like how I have my moments, my story. Because in that time, mhm, no, don't tell a story. So I was just about to go sideways, and I'm like, okay, not, don't go there. So if you can find that thing happening in your awareness within your consciousness right now, you need to understand that you live the story the way it happened. You don't need to be embarrassed. You don't need to be afraid how it affect other people. It just happened to be your story. But when it's still unresolved, then you can go ahead and resolve it for yourself. Not for others, not to prove anything. You just like it will be much free for you to resolve it rather than hold it in your system. Whether it's your physical, whether it's your mentality, whether it's your feeling, it just free up your headspace, to be honest. And I know that because I also remember the time when I don't have any of this. I don't have the story of me going into the darkness, but I also have the invitation that is happening for me to get into the darkness itself. So there are pros and cons of having this kind of reality, but just know that eventually you are here for it. If it happens in front of you, if it's like bugging you to the core and you cannot shake it off, then just take the step and go with it. If it kill you like freaking Jesus, so what? You are here for it. Because I also thought that my story have the similarity of Jesus because Jesus take it for himself, like right? And I'm like, am I like telling myself as a prophet? And I'm like, I feel like if we live in that era, we probably would be considered prophet in some way. But I'm like, I don't give a fuck. So that's one of the problem that I want you to like think it for yourself. If you have it, if you want to resolve it, do whatever it is. If you're ready, if you unready to resolve it, stay where you are. Just do whatever you want with it. But keep it in mind that this is something that you need to work on. Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, Bruce, and I'll see you tomorrow.